Hey guys, so this is my first video review. So it's a new format for me, so I'm not quite sure how it's going to go, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And today I'm going to be reviewing the Conflix 2015 film night. I've got some notes here. I've watched all the films again. So without further ado, let's get started. The first film I'm going to talk about is Head in the Clouds, which is Armel's film. I think the film has a really good story, and I think you accomplish what you wanted to do because the story does really carry the film. There are some issues with some of the acting, but I'm not going to find fault with any of the acting because these people are volunteering their time, and for the most part they do a good job, but there are a couple moments where it wasn't as convincing, but the story is what carries the film, and the story remains good throughout the entire piece. The next film I'm going to talk about is Elena, which is Jorge's film. This is an amazingly scripted movie. It's fantastically acted, it's got amazing cinematography, and it's one of the few films I've ever seen, both short and feature length, that I wanted to see more of after it was done. I really got involved with the characters, I found it to be very moving, and I thought it was very ambitious to tackle a film that features sequences with subtitles. The next film we're going to talk about is Problems with Easy Solutions, which is James's film. This is a very big comedy. Parts of this movie are hilarious. I loved the nods to Blake Edwards' The Pink Panther films. Not all of the jokes pay off, especially some of the scenes at the end, but I think that you really get the audience with the final joke, because the final joke is absolutely hysterical. The next film we're going to talk about is Conflix's film, and at this point on I'm going to apologize if I butcher anyone's name. It's a film based on a short story by Anton Chekhov. It's called The Bet. It features two Conflix regulars, Mika Polke and John Cornell, in their best roles of the night. They both appeared in several other films. What I think really helps the film, other than the fact that it's beautifully shot and it's well edited and well directed, is that the story is very emotional. And I think that you really brought that out in this film, and it's a very emotional experience, and it's very powerful, which for a short film is all the more impressive. Our next film is going to be The Lift Man, which is Sudharm's film. He's one of the students that I haven't met. I really liked this film. It was quirky, it seemed experimental, but at the same time it still had a very wide appeal. Parts of it were very funny, parts of it were a little moving, but the whole time it was still incredibly original. And it featured a great performance by another Conflix regular, Duncan Weller. And one of the things I really like about movies like this that feel more experimental is that they appear fresh and they can really bring about meanings to the audience that differ from audience member to audience member. And I think that was the case with this film, because I don't know if how I saw the film was how the people sitting next to me saw the film, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was quirky and it was fun. The next film is Dressed Up, which is Sari's film. It's one of the more original gender-bending comedies I've seen, cross-dressing comedies, which for a genre like that is actually really hard to do because so much of that shtick has been done already. And it almost seems as if like the genre has been beaten dead, but this film finds original ways to do it, and it features a really funny performance from Mika Polke, who I cannot believe you got to do this part. He really excels in this film. Not all of the jokes fly, but for the most part, the film is very lighthearted, it's very funny, it's very sweet, and it was entertaining from start to finish. Next film is 6 by 6, which is another one of the super ambitious films of the night. It's an amazing visual experience, it's got fantastic cinematography, the editing is really good. The visual effects are fantastic, and the opening scene is actually very well edited. It's very emotional. But the rest of the film never quite got as compelling as I thought it should have been, although it had an amazing story. It featured war photographers, and I've never seen any film do that, whether it be a short film or a big studio feature film. I've never seen a war photographer story before, but I didn't quite feel as if this film got as compelling as it could have. Our next film is going to be Ground Zero, which is Tarun's film. I really liked the idea for this film, and I think that you really achieved the visuals that you wanted for the film. I think the look of the film was great. It had the perfect sort of big fantasy sci-fi adventure look to it, but I just feel like the idea would have been better suited to a feature film, because it takes a little too long getting into the story. Once the story starts, it is entertaining and it does carry your interest, but it takes a little while to get there with the explanation as to what's happening, and which distracts from the fact that the story is actually quite good. So I really liked the visuals. I just feel this was more of a feature-length kind of idea. The next film is another one of the more experimental films, Open Spaces, directed by another one of the advanced students, Mo. This is probably the most art house film of the night, and I really liked it because it's another one of those films where I think how I see it is probably different than how other people see it. It's like reading a really good Ray Bradbury novel in that everyone gets something out of it, whether it be, you know, whether it's a moving experience or it's a more satirical look at things. It really has its own meaning for everyone in the audience on an individual level, and that's a really hard thing to achieve. It's really rare to see any film do that, and I was so impressed with this film, the visuals, the music, and the fact that I found the story to be quite moving. The next film is Remember Me, which is Kemba Drake's ode to slasher films. It's a really creepy film. It's got a wonderfully original premise. The villain's motivation is quite strong, even though at times the reasons for his motivation seem a little bit outlandish. The film still remains to be very creepy. My one problem is that the lead actor is so creepy, he kind of overtakes the victims, the acting of the victims, and their acting goes a little more unnoticed. But for the most part, I thought it was a creepy film. It got great reactions from the audience, because I don't think they were expecting it from you. And I loved the foreshadowing at the beginning. I thought that was great. So, that's all for this video. This is just part 1. Part 2 will be out almost right after this.